Hello there, lovely people. It's Alex from Nintendo Live here, and today we're reviewing for you LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga on the Nintendo Switch. This review was originally written by the superb and diligent PJ O'Reilly and has been adapted for video by me. But anyway, that's more than enough waffling. Let's dive right into things. More Star Wars? Really? We wouldn't blame you in the slightest if your reaction to more Star Wars, whether it be of the film, TV series, or video game variety, was somewhat apathetic at this stage given the sheer amount of it that we've had thrown at us in recent years. Indeed, as we sat down to boot up this latest LEGO Star Wars adventure, we couldn't help but wonder if we were particularly up for diving into this universe from scratch all over again. However, after just a handful of minutes, yes, minutes with LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga, well, we were completely hooked in and ready to savor every moment of this epic space adventure once more. TT Games has served up a spectacular retreading of the three trilogies here, combining fast and frantic campaign missions that bounce from set piece to set piece as they take in all the big moments from the movies, and a huge open world that's absolutely stuffed to the gills with secrets, puzzles, and exploration to dig into your downtime. It's a Star Wars fan's fever dream, and for our galactic credits at least, this is the very best LEGO game this developer has made to date. Yep, it's that good. Of course, the big question with regards to this Switch version in particular is, does it run okay? Can Nintendo's hybrid console handle all of this hot Jedi action without melting like so much Mustafarian lava in your hands? Is it Mustafarian or Mustafarian? This is the best we've seen a LEGO game perform on the Switch so far, and although there is the odd stumble here and there along the way, which we'll get into in due course, for 99% of our time with this one, we were hugely impressed with how well it looked, played, and handled. If you've been following along with the development of LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga, you'll likely already know about all the biggest gameplay changes and improvements that have been made to what's come before in LEGO Star Wars games. Combat has been overhauled entirely here with a new combo system giving you much more to dig your teeth into in regards to melee action. Get all up in a stormtrooper's grill and you'll need to use light, heavy, and jump attacks to pull off a variety of moves, as spamming just one button will lead to your foe blocking everything that's thrown their way. There are counterattacks added to the mix as well, with a great big X appearing above enemy heads when you've got the opportunity to flip their incoming assault around to your advantage, resulting in close quarters combat that moves well away from the one-button drubbings of old towards something that feels much more satisfying to get stuck into. I mean, don't expect Devil May Cry or Bayonetta or anything like that. This is a children's game first and foremost after all, but it's still a big improvement. Get a lightsaber in your hands and these improvements continue further, with block automatically deflecting all incoming laser fire in a satisfyingly slick manner as you move forward and lay into opponents with combinations of flashy attacks. You can also fling your saber to cause range damage and even send it ricocheting around environments to have it cut down scenery for sneaky attacks. Combine all of this with some sweet force powers that let you fling objects and enemies around with mind tricks that allow you to confuse, scare, and even take control of foes to have them do your bidding. We like to walk them off the nearest cliff, and Jedis feel pretty darned awesome to control here. Gun-toting characters are catered to with an all-new over-the-shoulder camera angle, taking effect when you decide to come over all pew pew pew, and the game even has a slick Gears of War-style cover system, snapping you to the nearest safe place and allowing you to pop in and out to get your shots off. I mean, hell, you can even barrel from cover to cover with the press of a B button to close in on enemies whilst keeping your head down. With this new cover system and over-the-shoulder camera view combined, the corridor blasting sequences here come to life like never before in a LEGO Star Wars game, and the intro moments of A New Hope provide a bombastic opening that shows off all these new gameplay mechanics in their very best light. This is LEGO Star Wars like you've never experienced it before. TT Games has also, as usual, made fantastic use of original movie sound samples as all this blasting and whooshing of lightsabers is going down, with every weapon, door, and enemy in this game sounding exactly as it should do, resulting in battles that you just can't help but get swept up in. It's an absolute nostalgia tsunami. There's new depth provided in many skill trees you'll dig into for each class of character as well, giving you the chance to beef up your core skills such as health, attack power, sprint speed, and all that good stuff, as well as specializing a little in the direction of your choosing. You can pump points into your Jedi powers, for example, beefing up your force pull, or having your mind tricks last that little bit longer, maybe make your scavenger scavenger's glider whoosh through the air a little faster, or increase the blast radius of your bounty hunter's shock grenades. There are a total of 9 classes to work with, and you'll need to swap them out on the fly continuously during open world play and in main missions in order to solve all the puzzles and grab all the secrets and collectibles thrown your way. Of all the changes that have been made for this latest Star Wars adventure, however, it's likely the new open world aspects of Proceedings in which prospective players are most interested, and in this regard they're in for quite the treat. It may well not be a true open world that can be traversed from one side to the other without a loading screen, fair enough when you consider that the story spans an entire galaxy, but what you do get from here is pretty much every major location from all 3 trilogies to tool around in at your leisure. From Tatooine and Hoth to the forests of Endor and Naboo, as well as many, many more, you're let loose to wander, take in the sights, explore, and of course, solve the endlessly clever puzzles that dot every inch of the landscape. And it's not just planet-side activities either. Oh no, this time you can hop into your favorite spaceship and take to the skies to engage in surprisingly fluid dogfights against enemy forces, barrel rolling, flipping, and launching proton torpedoes as you go. You can partake in wave-based smuggling runs that put your TIE-destroying skills to the test, tear meteors apart for prizes, and roll up alongside friendly faces to take on a range of space-based side missions. All told, the level of freedom afforded to players here really is quite breathtaking. And in between story missions or in Galaxy free play mode, you can select any character and location combination from all the episodes you've unlocked. That's 300 characters and 24 locations in total to get stuck into collecting Kyber bricks, which are the means you'll unlock the game's many class-based upgrades. And that's not even mentioning all of the mini-kits, ships, sides, secret missions, challenges, and trials that you can shake a filthy Sith at. There is a staggering amount of side activities to engage in, and the game keeps things kid-friendly and intuitive by providing hilariously mouthy planet-side guides who are ready and waiting with tips and instructions for every aspect of play, as well as a rumors system that lets you cash in some of the Lego studs you'll hoover up in order to receive help as to where the next unlockable character, ship, or side mission may be. You've got access to lots of pointers and markers and little colored trails to guide you on your way should you need it as well, and all of this stuff can be switched off should you prefer a less busy HUD as you explore. There's speeder bikes, bantha, and all manner of methods of transport scattered around locations too, so you can tear around environments at speed in search of goodies, or just take the lazy way out and jump in a space cab to reach your next destination. So the open world stuff then, it's huge, it's kid-friendly, and it gives you an exhaustive amount of freedom to mix and match characters and locations as you please, easily shaping up to dozens of hours worth of top-notch exploring, collecting, and puzzle solving to dig into. But it'd still be a shadow of the game we've ended up with if the story side of Proceedings wasn't up to scratch. And luckily, what TT Games has provided in terms of its campaign missions here is a wonderfully fast, flashy, and funny retelling of the franchise's major plot points, a punchy procession of the very best, most memorable sequences from all 9 of the Star Wars films. You and a buddy, if you're indulging in drop-in co-op, will swoop into the trenches of the Death Star in an X-Wing to deliver proton torpedo justice, take part in the Boonta Eve Classic, battle Darth Vader, Maul, and Sidious, blast baddies above the Sarlacc pit, destroy 80 walkers during the Battle of Hoth, escape Jakku in the Millennium Falcon, blaze through the forests of Endor on a speeder bike, and so much more in your time with this one. All of this is, of course, delivered with that trademark LEGO humor, and there's plenty of sly nods and digs at some of the weaker aspects of the films to enjoy, as well as lots of slapstick and stormtrooper hot tub parties thrown in for good measure. The voice acting is top-notch across the board as well, and if you're so inclined, you can switch things up to a mumble mode for the quintessential LEGO Star Wars experience. All bases well and truly covered. All in all, the high-octane tempo of the core campaign action here feels like a perfectly balanced accompaniment to the most chilled-out nature of your open-world endeavors, and the zippy nature in which the game blasts you through each episode, you can barrel through each of the films in about 2 hours, helps to almost entirely neutralize any getting bogged down by boring filler. We say almost entirely because although TT Games has pulled some thrilling sequences out of the prequel messes, they've still had to beef them up with a few tedious gameplay elements. Serving food at a restaurant, anyone? In order to flesh them out. Prequel blips aside though, this is super strong stuff for the vast majority of its running time, and in particular the original trilogy and the latest batch of films are just non-stop high points, blasting you from set piece to set piece at breakneck speeds as the quips, jokes, and slapstick comedy moments roll in from every angle. The campaign does an admirable job of mixing up its various gameplay mechanics mechanics as well, keeping things simple enough for younger players while still packing in plenty of vehicular action, boss fights, lightsaber duels, shootouts, and puzzle elements to keep things cruising along at a nice pace. It doesn't all come off perfectly. A handful of the boss battles are a little clunky in how they segue from gameplay to cutscene and back as they progress, for example, but for the most part this is still all the classic Star Wars action you could possibly have wanted for, serving up the slickest LEGO package we've seen yet. With regards to performance on Switch, as we mentioned at the top, we've been really impressed for the most part. In both docked and handheld modes, this one looks the business and manages to hold a pretty smooth frame rate during frenetic firefights, space battles, and pod races alike. We did have a few sequences where things began to stutter, and it can feel a tad sluggish in the open world here and there, but this is definitely the best performing Star Wars game we've played on Nintendo's console thus far. Quite the feat when you consider it's also the biggest and the flashiest. In terms of co-op mode, we played through the entirety of the prequel episodes with a pal in tow, and although the resolution does take a noticeable and entirely understandable dip from time to time here, the frame rate held up surprisingly well with just the odd stutter now and again. Even big flashy battles against the likes of General Grievous performed decently in split screen, and blasting around in space together or zooming around in vehicles presented little to no issues for the vast majority of our playtime. Yes, graphical quality has definitely taken the expected hit compared to other versions of the game, and you'll notice that the dynamic frame rate dips and things can get a little bit muddy in busy open spaces, but when all's said and done, we're still super impressed with the Switch version. There's still a mess of detail and fancy effects and lovingly crafted spaces to explore here, regardless of a few rough edges. The whole thing's an absolute dream to kick back with in handheld mode as well, so much so in fact that we're fully committed to returning to this one post-review in order to 100% the entire thing in portable mode, a sure sign of a great game. Overall then, besides the odd lame prequel mission and a few rough edges and frame rate bumps here and there, LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga is an absolute triumph on Nintendo Switch. Adjust your expectations accordingly in terms of graphical downgrades, and what you've got here is one of the very best LEGO games to date, playing, looking, and performing wonderfully in both docked and handheld modes. This game is an absolute treasure trove for fans of LEGO and Star Wars alike, and one of our absolute highlights of 2022 thus far, a year which has already started out with some absolute bangers. There's no such thing, it turns out, as too much Star Wars. LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga is a fantastic experience on Switch, a great big celebration of everything Star Wars that's made the jump to Nintendo's console in surprisingly fine form. The upgrades to the series' core gameplay here, such as the combo-focused combat, flashy space battles, boss encounters, all over-the-shoulder shooting action in the cover system, all combine to make this the best LEGO Star Wars has ever felt to play. Throw in an enormous open-world setting that's bursting at the seams with secrets and collectibles, and you've got an absolute smorgasbord of all things Star Wars to dig into. Turns out we were fools to think we could ever get tired of Jedis and lightsabers and the pew-pew-pew of flashy space guns. You've reached the end of the review, and that means it's time for Alex's personal thoughts, and I've got to be honest, I have never been a fan of the LEGO games. I've tried them numerous times, and I know they're hugely celebrated, and people love them to death. But there's just something about them. I think maybe it's just because I was the wrong age when I started playing them, or I don't know what. There are so many factors that could be involved here. I've never played a LEGO game and enjoyed it. Honestly, I've never played a LEGO game and enjoyed it. Something about the fact that it's simultaneously very basic because it's designed for children, but also sometimes weirdly obtuse. I don't know, but I've never got along with them, ever, and I've really tried. Having said all that, this is still definitely the most fun I've ever had with a LEGO game. I mean, I wouldn't say that I was like bowled over and I love this game to death, but I definitely enjoyed my time with it, which is more than I can say about any previous LEGO game. There were moments with real flashes of brilliance and real enjoyment, like mainly the open world stuff. I really enjoyed doing the open world stuff. But during my first few hours playing it, I was playing through A New Hope, and I got to, what is it, when you're on the Death Star and, you know, you're sneaking around as a stormtrooper as Han and Luke, and for some reason, I reached a point you've got to like trick the stormtroopers into opening up the turbo lifts, which I thought was exclusively a Star Trek thing, but maybe I'm wrong. And I believe the cutscene was supposed to play and I like go to a different level, which didn't happen. The cutscene happened, but it didn't play out appropriately. And the game was soft locked. I couldn't progress. And it took me a good, I would say, 15 minutes to work out what had happened, because the waypoints were just telling me to go back to the thing that I'd just done, and it was driving me loopy, and that wasn't good, I'm not gonna lie, and that really did sort of bring up a lot of negative feelings towards the LEGO games again. It was a really weird experience of a complete ambivalence for me, because there were so many instances where I was really enjoying it, I was thinking, you know, this is really good. Again, open world stuff. And even times during the campaign missions as well, but then something just sort of reared its head that I didn't enjoy about, you know, the LEGO games prior, and it just sort of dragged me right back. I can see why people love these games, I really can, but just for me, it just doesn't gel. Something about it, or many things I think, just don't gel. But I think the fact that this is easily, without a doubt, like there's no doubt in my mind whatsoever that this is the best LEGO game I've ever played, clearly shows that this is definitely something special. It may not gel for me 100% of the time, but the times when I'm enjoying it, I'm really bloody enjoying it.